Moving right along, we've been talking a lot about the recent changes with IDFA and iOS 14.5 and 0.6. But we're going to try and get ahead of the game now. We're trying to get looking ahead because it's not the end of the changes. Hurrah! Hurrah! We're going to look ahead now to the sort of next wave of changes, the upcoming changes and impact on ASO in iOS 15. And we're going to do that, I believe, in the company of Simon Thillay. Is that right? If I say that right?
It's Thillay, but it's a French.
Yeah, okay, Thillay. Well, I so far I've managed not to butcher everyone's surname, so I apologize, Thillay. That's a very it's but cool. Anyway, you're from AppTweak, right?
Absolutely, really happy to be here, and yeah, I wanted to bring up iOS 15.
Where are you based?
We're based in Brussels, in Belgium.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, well, also had heartache during the Euros, so it's not you can sympathise with English because they didn't. But anyway, enough football. I was going to pass over to you, and the floor is yours. You'll get your time. Don't worry. We're about sort of 8 or 9 minutes behind, but we'll come back with questions. So I'm going to hand over to you now.
So yeah, hello everyone, and hope you're excited about iOS 15 because if you have missed Apple's announcement last month. There are some big changes coming. So before I get into it, I'll give the traditional quick word about my company. So if you're not aware of who AppTweak is, we're providing a tool, an ASO tool. And our mission at AppTweak is to help all of our clients in both apps, mobile apps and games, to grow their app through actionable insights, packed in a simple interface. So our tool relies on 4 main pillars, which are going to be ASO intelligence to help you really understand how you can grow your organic traffic and conversion. Search ads intelligence, as Apple Search Ads, Google UAC, and many more channels are now also playing a big role in the life of an app on the store. And then app intelligence and market intelligence, which are meant to help you get a cross-country view and scout which new opportunity may arise for you. So we've been working in ASO since 2014. We're now working, we actually have offices in 4 different countries, and we work with developers across the globe, both in apps and in games. So you have a few names here. And to get you a better understanding, to give you a better understanding of what it is that we do, well, in the past 12 months, we've released over 50 new features in our tool. Every day, we're tracking over 3 million keywords to help developers identify what term is going to be important for their organic search. My team has been working to provide over 400 keyword audits and recommendations to our enterprise clients in past 12 months, I think. And we have in-house speakers for many different languages, which is definitely a big help when ASO is also something that helps you boost your downloads across the globe and target more people in just more than one local. Myself, quick word about myself. I've been working in ASO for over 4 years now, going into my 5th year. As head of ASO at AppTweak, I'm heading our efforts to support our mobile app and game clients when they require consultancy work to really identify how to grow their apps. I'm a bit of a sport enthusiast, but most importantly, currently I'm hiring for multiple positions in the US and Europe. So if yourself, you are interested in a new opportunity in digital marketing and ASO, or if you know anyone who could be interested, feel free to go have a look at our jobs page as well, because we've been growing very fast. We're aiming to grow even faster, and we're really happy to bring all that energy to our clients as well. Now, I did promise we were going to talk about iOS 15, so here's the agenda for today. I'll give a quick word of introduction on what is a change that's coming and kind of give you the context of why it's going to be big. And then we'll review for each of the new features that Apple announced. what they are about, some of the challenges they may bring, and most importantly, kind of go through a quick checklist that you can copy for yourself and start applying to your company. So, first question, if you've read anything about iOS 15, is this a revolution? Because a lot of ASOs have announced this is the biggest update since iOS 11. Uh, Before we go into that, I do want to point out why there is such a change coming, and it's that if you look historically at what Apple has been doing since the launch of the App Store in 2008, the consumer's benefit was always at the heart of the product development of the App Store. Today, we are starting to see a shift, and it does not mean that the consumer's benefit is not a focus of Apple anymore, but simply that with all the recent controversy about the cut that Apple takes on any transaction on the store, um, accusations of monopolies, etc., Apple has basically now worked to make their product, the App Store product, more valuable to app developers and marketers, and is starting to really grow the store as a marketing tool itself. Whereas before, it used to be all about the users. And so this is why basically the changes that are coming are, to me, maybe not as big as iOS 11, but definitely some of the biggest we've seen recently. They have announced three main features: in-app event cards, custom product pages, and product page optimization. And we're going to go in detail over each of these three features. But what you can see already just by looking at all of this is that these are going to be marketing tools. They're going to help you grow your conversion. There's not a lot of work on traffic itself this time, but when it comes to conversion, the idea is to really provide developers with opportunities to really A/B test how they're doing, and then also develop custom landing pages for their UA campaigns, and also have engagement tools within the store to target new users, but also active users and lapsed users. So let's start with custom product pages, because this is probably the most anticipated change at first, although not necessarily the most important one. Custom product pages are meant to be customizable store landing pages. Basically, what you will be able to do with this feature is change the screenshots, the videos, and the promotional text of your App Store page to whatever makes more sense to someone who would be arriving on your store page via URL. So what's very interesting is that you can run up to 35 custom product pages. Each of them can be localized. And basically this means that whenever you're running a very specific ad campaign and you want to be doing contextual advertising, you can use a customizable product page as the landing page for that ad and keep a very seamless flow in your user acquisition funnel. Some of the things that are important to note are also that the first one is going to be the review process. If you're familiar with App Store optimization, you already know that whenever you want to change screenshots, videos on the store, you actually have to submit a new app version to do that. This is going to change with iOS 15, as you will still have to upload these assets for review by Apple before they can go live on the store. But but now you won't have to upload a new app version just for that. One thing that is going to be challenging with this new feature is going to be which ad channel is going to be compatible. This is any user is going to be able to access a custom product page via URL. And that means that if your traffic comes a lot from organic referrals, then it's just give the link to the website, the influencer, whoever is going to be sending the traffic, and a simple click will send to your custom product page instead of your default App Store product page. Now, if you're doing campaigns with certain ad networks, then this is where you will have to look into compatibility for each. Apple Search Ads is actually susceptible to be compatible with this, even though, and this is going to be the only option to have search traffic, App Store search traffic, going to a custom product page. But if you're not using Apple Search Ads, you're using organic search, then people will always go to your default page. If you're using other networks, and obviously the first ones that come to mind are going to be Facebook and Google, you will have to check and possibly ask your customer success point of contact with them what they have planned around this feature. Because today, when you set up your campaign, you have to give your app ID, and the tools are the ones that make the app install campaign send to your product page. And that means you cannot just say instead of instead of having the app ID, let me give the URL. This is not how these tools work. And the reason for that is because when you use app install campaigns with Facebook, for instance, these campaigns can be optimized further in the click. If you want to use a custom product page, you could set up a campaign which will be click-based optimized, and so you won't know if it's really efficient or not. If you're using other networks that basically create the campaigns with MMPs, you can look into what MMPs have to offer, because they already have solutions in place to have a redirect instead of the basic app install setting. So this could still work, but you will have to do some extra work around this to mitigate the loss. And you will still have limitations around automation features, but this is currently the best way to really optimize on click, but also make sure that those clicks do convert into users and ideally into paying users. So how can you get ready for the custom product pages? First thing you're going to have to do is conduct user research to identify which user segments you want to target and what are the main motivations for installing your game. Here, I've taken the example of Clash of Clans, where you can see from the multiple screenshots that they have today, they already have multiple value propositions around the gameplay. You have build, battle, and train, which are all related, but you have to imagine that if you want to address users that are going to be more interested in the whole building part, you would want to see them see build first. Whereas users who are very competitive might be more interested in battle, and then this is where you would switch the order of screenshots. Obviously, with custom product pages, you could do even much more than that, but this does highlight how you may have multiple user segments that can be targeted differently, and why you want to go through that user research to know how you're going to leverage those custom product pages. Another thing you should do is review which acquisition channels suffer from the most important conversion drop. The whole point of these pages is to improve your conversion for very contextualized ads. And that means that if your ads are performing fairly good, this segment that you're targeting with that specific ad is not necessarily the first one you want to address. So do take the time to consider which segment can benefit the most out of the custom product pages. Once you've done that, also check which segments are least receptive to your default product page creatives. Again, it's all about knowing where you're going to have the most impact. And then organize sync meetings with all of the marketing teams. Just this is something you probably already do, but the goal here is just to flag all the initiatives that are coming in the next 6 to 12 months to know which one is going to require a custom product page, and then plan around it, because you will still have to have your assets ready in time, have them reviewed by Apple. So you have to start thinking that if a new marketing campaign requires a custom product page, let's say on around Christmas, then you would need to have Apple review and approve the assets about a week before at the very least, which means your asset needs to be ready before, your hypothesis backlog of creatives need to be prepared before, etc. One important thing also about these is that there have been signals, we've heard rumors in the industry that this feature might not be immediately online with iOS 15 and might not come in September, but only at the beginning of 2022. So it means you may have more time to prepare for it, but you should already start educating other teams about them. Final part of the checklist is also going to be that once you have prioritized the asset production, make sure you also review it in terms of design costs, how much localization and scalability is available, to make sure that you have the best priority in number one. The second feature that we have to talk about today is in-app event card. So these cards are meant to help developers advertise about in-game events that they're doing. It's going to work for both apps and games, but for today I'm going to focus on game events. So what you have to know first is that those events will be promoted on the App Store through different channels. But when you start creating an event in App Store Connect, you will have to choose a specific event type, and you will also get a chance to specify if you're targeting a specific segment. You could choose new users, active users, or lapsed user, or any combination of the three. The event card, once it's created, will appear in the app's product page, but also in App Store search and browse. And you can also use a URL link to the in-app event card itself instead of just a product page. So again, you could use external traffic and send it directly to the in-app event card. If you're doing retargeting, might be more complicated now that iOS 14.5 is here. But nevertheless, if you want to really advertise a big event in your app to drive active users or lapsed users, you could actually send users not just to the link of the product page, but directly to the link of the event card. In terms of where those links will appear in the store itself, there are multiple things that are worth pointing out. When it comes to App Store search, one thing that is important is that event cards will have multiple text metadata. Those text metadata are going to be indexed by Apple. And that means that if you're doing ASO today, if you're optimizing traffic based on keywords, you will have new fields for keyword optimization. Also, when your app is going to appear in search results, the event card might appear beneath the app. But if your app appears in a search result for users that already downloaded your app, the event card could in fact appear instead of the screenshots of your app. And that means that there's going to be a new trend in search behavior with the possibility of having more return traffic go through your App Store page and reopen the app. Finally, featuring is something that Apple has been pushing for years and that a lot of developers are very keen to try and get. And so here, in-app events have already been announced as something that Apple editors will use for multiple featurings, whether it's collections in the Games tab or even in the Today tab for very big events that they can spot. So as soon as you can, start mapping which event you want to promote in the store to also get yourself better chances at being featured. For the checklist itself, it's fairly easy. You should start by cross-referencing your list of upcoming in-app events, live ops, and check with the list that Apple has communicated to know which would belong to which type. You have competition, live event, major update, new season, premiere, and special event. So map which of your events already go into each of the category to get started. And also review what recent featurings you got and your competitors got to identify which are the topics that you might have the best chances in. Once you've done that, conduct your keyword research to know for each event, is there a specific search traffic you should be targeting, or if there's any keyword for you from just your general app that you could squeeze into your event's metadata to boost your search visibility. You will also have to prepare some creatives and make sure that the event can deep link into your app. So make sure to also work with your product and design teams to prepare for these different metadata information. And remember to register the events more than 2 weeks before they start, since Apple will have to review them to approve again of your metadata. But also because your event can be announced on the store 2 weeks ahead of its start to build anticipation and have users get the option of ticking a certain bell icon to mean that they want to be notified when the event starts. The last feature I'm going to tell you about today is native App Store A/B testing. If you've been doing A/B testing on Google Play, you're already familiar with the concept, but I do want to stress how this is technically going to be the biggest update we have. So one thing that is going to be different from Google Play is that in the App Store, you will only be able to A/B test creatives, icons, app previews, and screenshots, but no text metadata. Just like with Google Play, you will be also able to test globally or on a per local basis. Same as for the other two features, any new creatives that you're updating will have to be reviewed by Apple, but can be reviewed by Apple outside of an app binary review. For the one thing that has not been clarified by Apple so far, basically what we don't know is how statistically reliable will those tests be. We know that on Google Play, experiments are conducted on a 90% confidence interval, which is lower than the industry standard for digital A/B testing, which is 95. And if Apple follows the same route, then there will be the same challenges of checking whether your App Store A/B tests do show results that apply to real life. Now, it could be better, and this is something that everyone will be monitoring in the next few months. But if you're already aware of how A/B testing is really meant to help you improve your store conversion rate, then here's a checklist you should be following. First, set up an experiment backlog to have a complete overview of all of the different hypotheses you want to test. Second, if you've been using Google Play experiments already, have a look at your hypotheses and establish which one are most likely to have different results on iOS than on Android. Third, do identify which test results could benefit from a specific channel, because you could also prepare some tests that are going to help you just prepare for the custom product pages that will be coming later this year or beginning of 2022. Make sure to have enough time for producing all of the assets and submitting them to Apple to start testing as soon as iOS 15 hits. And finally, do make sure that you can validate a testing protocol with all of your stakeholders. One thing that I've seen when working with clients is how sometimes testing is quite challenging because not everyone has the same definition of uh, a success or how to prioritize tests. So sometimes we do see that certain stakeholders want to run the test for only 2 or 3 days when a statistically reliable test usually requires at least 7. And so it's very important to make sure that every stakeholder buys into how you're going to be conducting tests before you start. So these slides, I believe, will be are available on our website if you're looking for them. And also, if you want to test more around AppTweak itself, we have a coupon code for you guys today that is going to be valid for the next 3 weeks. So do enjoy it. And obviously, if you have questions, feel free to ask them right now in the chat or to my colleagues on the booth today.
Hello again. Wow, my God, there's a lot there. There's a lot on those. I like to put those data on the slides, but I think that's a record. That was great. That's really interesting and definitely stuff that I wasn't even aware of. Some of that. So that's really appreciated. I've got a lot of questions. I'm going to try and get through a couple of them, and probably the rest will have to try and hunt you down and find afterwards. But thank you for that. Okay, a couple of relatively direct questions here. I guess, should we focus the majority of our marketing money direct on the App Store now then? I'm assuming this is the plan. I presume he means the plan from Apple, maybe mean the plan from, I don't know. Is that there's a sort of a feel here and a couple of questions that that obviously these changes are making, giving Apple a lot more power, which is fair enough, it's their platform, but is that a thing that, you know, that much more of the marketing spend should be spent direct with Apple or with companies?
So if we're talking pure marketing spend, I suggest to do the same as what we do in ASO every day, which is test and learn. Just try various channels. Apple is definitely pushing to make their solution much more advanced than what it used to be, but it still may not be the best network for you. Now, where I do think you should really be putting more of your efforts is the whole creative production part,
Right.
Because even before, if we think only about the A/B testing part and not the custom product pages that are going to be coming later, just A/B testing and having the best creatives for the entire funnel, you have to think that almost all of your users, except maybe some beta testers, except for them, everyone is going to go through the App Store to download your app. So improving your conversion rate there is improving your conversion rate everywhere. And so this is really why this is a very big update. We've been waiting for this. I was personally convinced that Apple would just not do it because they couldn't find a way to make money out of it. And then with the current pressure on them to show more value to the developers, they're actually doing it. And so I'm really excited with that because we've always hypothesized how iOS users might differ from Google Play users.
Yeah.
But now we can actually measure it.
Yeah. I guess I've got a couple of questions here. I don't know this, so this might be a naive question, but they're saying multiple custom product pages seem like a great or a sizable new idea, say here. I mean, I think it's fascinating, really. Is there a similar solution to Android, or is there something coming onto Google Play?
Not exactly, at least not at the moment. We'll see how Google reacts because this is always a dance between Apple and Google.
Yeah.
But so far, what Google has, is custom landing pages, custom store listings. Is the name, and this is something that is also very powerful. But here, it's not a URL where you can really customize the creatives. Instead, you can define for one country a set of screenshots, a set of, well, anything on the store listing, really,
Yeah, yeah,
including the title, that will appear differently. So if you're doing specific marketing campaigns and you have challenges about how you have a special offer available in only one country,
yeah,
this is definitely super helpful. Like, imagine where we have an app trying to make a very specific offer
yeah.
in Argentina because they just won the Copa America, or I'm not sure of the name, but I know
Yes,
they beat Brazil in the final.
yeah,
And if you want to have something that just for Argentinians, well, on Google Play, the store listing, the default one is going to be um, Latin America. So you might have people in Colombia seeing the same thing.
yeah. Brazilians slightly less happy about that offer, probably. That's so. Yes, I get that. No, no. I think it's a brilliant. It's a really fascinating innovation. Well, a couple more. We'll try and get through two more because we've given you a time, but we're a little bit behind. But what sort of time frame? This is, I think, it's a valid practical question. Would we expect for Apple approval on custom product pages? Now, I know you don't know that because you haven't. They're not there yet. But obviously, approval times are always a challenge, when you're releasing updates and new apps in there. Would
Yeah,
you expect them to be quicker on things like custom product pages? Because obviously you're going to want to do quite a lot of those, or potentially you might want to do quite a lot of those.
I would say better play it safe than sorry, and anticipate that at first it's going to take at least 1 week, if not two,
Yeah,
and treat it as almost as an app binary review, because probably it will get very much faster than for the app reviews themselves.
yeah,
But also, there's going to be a lot of people pushing the door at the same time when it first comes out.
yeah, of course.
So better to anticipate that.
Okay, final question. There's a few more in there, so people please find Simon or his colleagues in the meeting system. But final question at the end is there's a lot of changes here and a few question marks still. What do you think is the greatest opportunity here and all the biggest risk to be aware of all the things you mentioned? Because there's quite a lot of detail in that. What's the biggest opportunity for is it these custom product pages are a big
I
exciting
think I think the biggest opportunity is the A/B testing itself,
yeah,
because a lot of people have hypothesized, like, yeah, iOS players don't behave the same way as Android players,
yeah,
but we've never really been able to find the best way to A/B test for them, because there were some hacks around Apple Search as creative sets or using third-party tools, but each solution there was just a hack with certain biases. So
yeah.
now it's going to be finally putting this in front of a segment of users that come from all of the different traffic sources and measure how they react.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to have to leave the others to talk to you directly for now. But thank you so much, Simon, for that. That was really insightful. Lots of insight and data. That I'm going to go back and download that presentation. Have a good pour through myself,
Yeah.
because I think there's plenty to be learned from that. Have a great day in Belgium, and I'm going to send you the digital ether now, and I hope you have enjoyed the rest of the show.
Sure.